a resident, actually, and one of the things that I valued about him is that in the time I've known him, over 3 years, and watched some of the things that either are happening or haven't happened, or about his personal losses, he always says every day when I greet him, "How are you?" And he'll say, "I'm happy." And at times that's taken me aback, because I had to sit and I wanted to think out about, what does happy mean, you know, in comparison to what, or in the absence of what. But no matter what it called for, "I'm happy. I'm happy." And I'd say, "Why are you happy?" And he'd give me a very specific gift or blessing for that day that buoyed him. And it kind of challenged me to take on or adopt that attitude as well. How are you today? I'm happy, despite anything. I'm happy. So he's my best everyday hero.
Christine, a number of years back, she is just an exemplary example of what we do every day, which day in and day out, we produce good, accurate, clean billing for families to know where they're sitting, what they need to pay for. And not too many people say, "Oh gosh, that was a wonderful bill that you sent to me. That was so remarkable." Most people say, "You know what, it's just part of the business." But it's so much more, because if you didn't care about people, you wouldn't care about making sure they explain the bill so people can understand. To take that extra bit of care, to take that time and actually truly walk them through that process of how charges come about, how bills are paid, what services are available for those people if they truly cannot pay for themselves. And Christine loves people, and that's why she's a tribute to the business office.
Resident in our building, and my focus was on being in a big apartment building. It's more than just residents living in the building. It's the residents becoming family, and it all started with a resident going down to our care center and sitting with another resident that was dying because she didn't have family. And then I interviewed this lady, and she told me about a number of other people that she did this for, and then she was telling me about all the activity that happens in our building that we're not even aware of. You know, when somebody gets sick, they're bringing meals to each other. There's a lot of socialization within the apartments themselves. You know, we provide activities for our residents, but there's so much more that goes on that we're not even aware of.
We had a very unique individual within our organization. He was a resident within our long-term care setting, being a part of a continuing care retirement community. And he happened to be a modern-day cowboy. And it was through the efforts of the nursing staff in talking with him and hearing his stories and just being fascinated by the life that he led, that they learned that he had this amazing bond between him and his horse. So they went out of their way to contact some people who actually brought his horse to our facility. And this gentleman who was rehabilitating was in a wheelchair. So the day that they brought the horse into our parking lot and they unloaded it from the trailer, they wheeled the resident out, and it was an amazing gesture. The horse walks over and puts his head right on this resident's shoulder just to say hello to his old friend. So it was an amazing, what's the word that I'm looking for?
She has been with the facility for over 20 years, so she and I have worked together for a long time. When a resident is in the dying process and journeying to heaven, she goes in and sits by their bed and sings all the favorite hymns that she knows meant something to her. If you walk by and you hear "In the Garden" or "The Old Rugged Cross," you know that that wasn't just a hymn she chose, but that was a hymn that that resident at some point during their stay had told Cheryl meant something to them. And that's the hymn she would be sitting there singing, and sometimes her voice would crack, and sometimes it was just as clear as can be, and the families are sitting there and so appreciative, and that resident You can go in and the resident is so relaxed and calm. It just is a wonderful thing to see.
Or I am on the recognition committee for care providers, and I wanted to, with all the wonderful nominations we had for awards this year, I wanted to try and highlight some of them, whether they were winners or not. And the hero I selected was actually from Camden Care Center, and they took their residents on a cruise, and I thought that was just so spectacular that I wanted to be able to highlight that. And the staff of Camden Care Center are such heroes for being able to get over the hurdles that they did. I think the residents are heroes to be able to kind of step out of their comfort zone and do something that they might have never done before. And so that's what I wrote about for our group project, and it turned out just wonderfully.
My son is in the Guards, and I knew he was going to be deploying overseas, and the activity director where I was working had gotten involved in a project where her and her group were sending boxes over to Army people just to kind of bring the sense of home to them. And I started thinking about how neat it was, and we were also a veterans home, so we had a number of the vets involved, and I think probably it became really personal to me when my son was going, and I saw and could probably see when you're away from home the impact that getting a box from home with treats in it would make. So I thought she was wonderful, and I think the thing that surprised me the most was she didn't give it a thought. She wanted to get involved. She had to go once a month 50 miles away to meet with other people doing the same thing and sharing things to put in boxes, and then she'd come home and she'd meet with the vets at our building, put together this box, and off it went. And I think just the fact that my son was going made it seem like a really neat thing to do, and I saw her as a hero.
A gentleman that visits our facility probably 3 times a week. He started visiting when his wife moved into our memory care unit, and continued. She no longer lives with us, but he's continued throughout the last couple of years. He's a very special guy. He's involved in a lot of the veterans type activities and things like that. But one of the most unique things is he stops in 3 days a week, and he usually brings a little train whistle, and he announces his presence when he enters the building with his train whistle. And he just basically goes through our facility, meeting with the residents, the staff, the family members, whomever he comes across, and hands out candy. And then when he leaves the facility, he always goes to the front door, blows his whistle again, announces all aboard, and he comes back a couple days later.
My hero was a coworker that I worked with a number of years ago. She worked in our business office, and the kindness that she showed to a resident coming into our building that had some very unique needs just touched me. And so my article is, I think it's titled Unlikely, or Inspired, I guess it's called. So it's a little story about Kathy in the business office and how she was there to comfort and take care of a resident coming into our building that had that was mentally handicapped. So the compassion that Kathy showed her was very over and above what would have been in her job description. And so she was an example to a lot of the other staff on just what it meant to care for someone. You know, you can bring somebody into your building and help them bathe and dress and groom and feed them, but what Colleen needed was a mom.
They chose one of my staff persons. Her name is Carlene. She's been an activity assistant at our center for 18 years now. And I chose her because there's lots of reasons. She carries a lot of burdens at home, but yet when she comes to work, she has her full smile on, and she's so attentive to the residents. And to see her interact and bring laughter and joy to the residents every single day is absolutely amazing. And she goes above and beyond her call of duty She does things that aren't expected or aren't in her job description. And she just has great ideas and great interactions, and she's my hero. She sustains the activity department. She's amazing.
My stories were kind of the bites that we talked about, so short stories just of small incidents that happen all the time. So one of them, we actually have a nursing assistant that's worked in our facility for 43 years, and she would take her personal money and her personal time to make comforters and curtains and all kinds of other kind of fixings for the facility and bring them in herself. So we actually completed a whole floor of her personal creations, and the residents each had, you know, something that looked more like home. And another little bite that we had a resident who, you know, became very, very close to a lot of the staff. She lived there for several years, and eventually she discharged to another facility to be closer to her daughter. But one of our nursing assistants was so close to her, she just couldn't bear to not see her anymore, so she would drive over 30 miles to visit her on occasion and still kind of keep that relationship going, which, you know, you don't hear about that. People don't think that that relationship with the staff and the residents is so profound, but it really is.
One of my heroes was a resident who is 105 and a half. Her first name is Margaret, and she is cognitively intact, able to walk and express herself quite well, has some vision difficulties, but the reason I picked her as a hero is her vast knowledge of the past, her description of unsure why God wants her still on this planet, but she must have a purpose, and that she does rosaries each day for staff and for residents, and she was able to teach me about how elders feel and live within the care that I provide, and it's important to understand those. And so I picked her because she's a very unique person, somebody who was born long ago and is very interesting to talk to. I think she does a great job of helping me better understand older adults.
Basil, he has a program with kind of an end-of-life program that helps staff, families, and the residents or patients. Basically, it's a program where somebody knows that they're at the end of their life, and it helps us help them transition to that point with respect and dignity, and then deal with the feelings of patients that are around them, their friends, and the staff that's worked with them.